Good morning, Exorcists. Time for your daily archive reminder. Ogre the Minotaur. Possessed subject 076, post-mortem type 3. 076 worked at major financial firm and had been suffering from workplace hazing culture and harassment for 5 years and 7 months. Upon manifestation, the company building was converted into a trapping 153 humans inside. Hunters were able to execute and exfiltrate with only a 1% casualty rate. A simple one, but a good reminder that the ogre doesn't just take the host, it takes everyone else around. Anywho, happy hunting. As above, so below. Well, hello! Welcome to the after chat of the archive reminders, and the video format of it. Now this is going to be less of an in-world discussion and more just actually talking about the game itself or speculating on what these archives could be. As in the rules, like what domain do they have, what are the traumas possibly, other ways some of these abilities could have manifested or be the ones to manifest. And this is to help both for an admin and a potential exorcist. Because as the admin, you need to know these sins or the ways they can take form or different various ways they can form, or like appear. The way a domain shows up doesn't always have to be the visual, it could also just be the mechanic. And these archives are a great way of showing that. And for an exorcist, you know what these domains are, or the possible ways a sin can manifest, and what questions you need to look out for in your investigation. So consider this kind of a background to help you actually know the ins and outs of some of the system, or another excuse to look towards the domains. So that's what these are, and to begin, we start with the Minotaur. Now, for the good old ogre questions, who or what pushed you into this hole? Who or what is keeping you from going over the edge? And what are you the most ashamed of? Now, with all of these archives, we only have sentences to work with. We do not have a full investigation, nor full detail or op on the host. Sometimes you get more information on the host, sometimes not. And for this one, we don't have much, outside of the initial hazing culture that they were put under, the fact they worked for a financial firm. We do actually get more information on the sin itself, or further repercussions based off the few details we have. So for the first question, probably the financial firm hazing culture. 5 years of that stuff, 5 years. That'll break you down, especially with a sin seed and a forming ogre amplifying the effect. Nasty stuff. Now, as to what was keeping him over the edge, it could have been a financial issue, it could have been honestly wanting to work up the corporate ladder. I mean, he had to put up with this for 5 years and 7 months, but there could be more things in his personal life that we don't know. We don't know how far that went. Honestly, based off the later manifestation, it could be blackmail. That could be part of the whatever you're ashamed of, what's keeping you here. Though, now we get into some of the goodies, the actual manifestation. So, big thing, post-mortem type 3, possessed. So, that's a whole mix of things for our first archive. So first, possessed, it's using the body in some way. Body of the host. Second, post-mortem, the host died before the manifestation, which for an ogre isn't necessarily uncommon, but usually it's a slow decline. But the fact it was type 3, this is, if there was more anger behind the host, it could have formed a hound. Especially because you have a bound sin. Even though it's possessed, even though it's post-mortem, the initial human psyche is still in charge and still directing the ogre, hence part of the casualty rate in the direct direct revenge against those in the building. Because that's a dangerous thing. I mean, even without going into specifics of like, oh, possible ways of the domains being flavored, the fact that you have a possessed, post-mortem, type 3 ogre that is directly malicious. That's such a combination. Because how do you deal with a binder that you can't... Because the weakness of a binder is the fact that you can still kill the host and then you just have a sin on the loose. But now, they're all one thing and post-mortem. The body's just being puppeted by the ogre. And it has been warped by the ogre, as based off the image. But yes, the actual descriptor, Minotaur, which we now know is not from the image of it. Definitely what it does, not the fact it looks like bull-like. It doesn't. It's cramped into its hallways previously. It itself is trapped here just like it trapped everyone else. Which brings me to the first one. Likely first domain on the docket is hostile door patterns. That with the name of Minotaur, it itself actively being trapped in the location, known for trapping a ton of people in a company building, it's turned the entire corporate building against everyone inside it. So, there's one. Lots of evidence, or at least circumstantial evidence we can point to. After that point, gets real dodgy on the other possible domains you could pick. Or that it could be. Now, my next pick, based off just circumstantial evidence and, some guessing here, the Lash calls you brother. While it doesn't strictly mention any kind of direct manifestation of a crusher, it very much fits the current archetype we have of the host, or the situation they were in, namely the work hazing culture and harassment. The idea of a crusher taking up that same image of that hazing, that harassment, that person consistently over your shoulder at work over 5 years consistently nagging and harassing you. But the one downside not pointing towards this is there is no descriptor of a crusher. But based off the host and what they went through and what manifested it in the first place, might be that. The next possible two for the third? Well, okay, for almost any of these, you can just put the awful flesh in. Not as a shoe-in, but the ogre itself is known for that monstrous form, and it's a bit more of a generic, just scary sin, scary monster manifestation, especially for the sheer block sitting in that hallway. But no, the other one I'd go for would be the grinding of wheels. Just forcing that situation of being trapped in the same building they've been trapped in for 5 years. But now having the amplified emotions of the ogre, that despair seeping into you, that just like the host, you are not escaping this place. And that just like all the peers of the host, you're gonna be let down. And given that the host is post-mortem manifestation at the workplace, I'd roughly go for the weight as an affliction that would commonly come up with it. Trapped here, no escape, only way out. Or at least according to the ogre. As for the possible palace of the Minotaur, well, it's probably the office building. We're probably actually seeing into it, either the office building itself and the ogre just filling that space, or the palace, because the ogre is always cramped within its palace. But given the nature of the sin, and it's all about being trapped, stuck, not being able to find your way out and lost, I mean, it would work in both circumstances when it's manifesting in the warped space of the office, or within its palace. Honestly, it might blend together. One specific office door blending in with the rest, duplicated over and over again. Again, whole shtick probably being trapped. But looking back, this bit of mystery surrounding everything, the fact we only have a small brief description to give a rough idea of these things, the ways you can take it. You could change some of these domains here and there, you can interpret some of the ways that the host dealt with the workplace differently, but you really don't need much as a jumping off point for where to start a sin or begin investigating and trying to put the pieces together. And just like in the initial descriptions and every time we have a sin video, the domains, while they do usually line up with the traumas, they don't have to. They don't always line up one-to-one. Sometimes a sin's just lethal to be lethal, or is specifically gaining traits from the manifestation only, the moment it sparked and came into being, not based off the long traumas that led to it. But tell me, what do you think the Minotaur actually had? What was its layouts? What were its domains? What affliction did it commonly use? If a crusher did form, what did it look like? Was it just actually a Minotaur? In any case, just like our good old Temerity Archivist, happy hunting. As above, so below.